independent. That's our primary focus. In other words, they can't get through a day without somebody helping them do something. And then what the center does, what CIL does is they come in and they say, all right, what do you need and can we help you get independent? If it's possible, some people it's just not possible to come independent, but some it is. They're lacking a wheelchair, they're lacking a walker, they're lacking counseling, they're lacking a peer group, they're lacking something to help them get through the day because of their disability. We never use the word disabled, so scratch that from your vocabulary. People with physical, mental, or emotional challenges. That's how we describe a disability. Physical, mental, or emotional challenges. Probably over 50% of it is providing durable medical equipment, or what we call barrier removal, where there's a barrier to a person with a physical, mental, or emotional challenge, a barrier to them being able to do what they need to do. Who can think of a barrier for somebody like that? What would I be talking about when I'm talking about a barrier?
Stairs.
Stairs, yeah. What else? What if you got in the house? What kind of barriers would be in the house?
Furniture.
That's one thing, but okay, the house is empty.
Shower.
Okay.
Yeah, getting in the shower, right? You know, if they can't get into the tub or the shower, or how about the sink being up here if you're in a wheelchair? You know, if you're in a chair, you know, we're gonna do a video, in fact, a day in the life of somebody in a chair and what that looks like. And go down to Palafox and get in a wheelchair and see how many of the businesses downtown on Palafox you can get into. It's disgusting, absolutely disgusting.
So you mostly do like mobility aids?
Yeah, I would hate to generalize that, but that's a good place to start. But we want to go into some of the deeper stuff too, like the peer counseling that we do. We'll have groups come in a couple times a month and sit in our conference room and just talk. Hey, what kind of challenges did you face and how did you overcome them and so forth? And we'll have one of our counselors there to coach them and mentor and so forth. So we'll do a lot of that. Sometimes it's just done on the phone or with Zoom. You know, overcoming anxiety, you know, just to get them to come downtown. I mean, downtown is actually a terrible location because there are people that won't even come to our office. I'm not going downtown. Are you kidding? There are people downtown. You know, so there are peer groups. We do. Let's think. We don't do anything medical. We'll refer out the medical. You know, if they need some kind of medical assistance. And here's a good example. I had a gentleman come to me a couple of years ago, and his daughter was born with spinal bifida. Bifida, with a B. Does anybody know what spinal bifida is?
So
It's
part
a
of the
mobility.
spinal column's exposed, right?
Well, it doesn't fully develop, and it's bulging out of the back. And normally they detect that with ultrasound, and the baby is not viable and doesn't make it to this planet. But in this particular case, they didn't spot it, and it was a home birth. And the first time they knew that she had this was at the home birth. They rushed her to the hospital. He called me, and he said, he was a friend of mine. He called me and he said, "Can you help me?" And I said, "Yeah." We referred her to the best doctors here in Pensacola to handle that. So that referral service, 51% of what we do is referrals, information referrals. People call up and say, "Where can I find, how can I get, because they know we're going to send them to somebody legit." So we referred them to for the first 18 months of this little girl's life, her name's Bree, was all just save her life. Her kidneys shut down, her liver, everything shut down. She had surgery after surgery after surgery, and it was just save her life, and it was touch and go for the first 18 months of her life. Then at 2 years, the doctor said, "You have a healthy, happy, viable little girl. But there's nothing more for me to do. I don't need to see you for at least 3 years unless you have a new problem. But you need to get her walking. She's got to get moving to get her systems working, get the lymph nodes and all that working through movement." Well, here's how it affected this little girl. She had no use of her legs from the knees down. So put yourself in that place. You have no use of your legs from the knees down. And you have to walk. Visualize a walker in your mind. And what do you see? You see somebody pushing a walker, right? Up, down, up, down. What does she not have? She has no way to push off, does she? So she needed what's called a posterior walker. She could already lift herself up like this. She was already that strong off of her legs, but she had no way to move once she got up there. So she needed a posterior walker that was behind her so that she could move it and then pull her legs. You see how that works? Very custom, they're specialized. They're built to grow with the person so that they never have to get another one. It's a fairly expensive item, probably about $4,000. So this couple, they called the insurance and said, hey, we need this specialized walker for Bree, posterior walker. Well, what do you think the insurance company said? Our insurance person left. What do you think
We
the
don't
insurance
cover
company?
that.
What's that?
We don't cover that.
Yeah, well, we'll have to get that approved. Special approval. Then the documents were lost. I don't know. 6 months after the doctor said get her walking, the insurance company was still stalling.
Yeah.
So Joe came to me and he said, can you help? I said, let me get my team on it. And in 1 week, we had that walker in our office. And if you had any way to show a video in here, I'd show you the video of this little girl taking the first steps in her life ever by herself down our hallway with that walker. Tell me that isn't cool. You know, and she's at the end, I'm walking, Daddy, I'm walking. It's just, I mean, it's on our website because it's such a great, one of those great success stories. But it's because it's a 2.5-year-old little girl. But even if it was an 89-year-old woman that you got walking for the first time, we had an 89, well, I don't know what her age was. She was in her 80s. She hadn't left her home in over a year. She had friends and family, neighbors, bringing her stuff all the time. Why hadn't she left her home? She was in a wheelchair. What had happened is all of the rubber on her wheels had disintegrated because the wheelchair was so old and there was no rubber on it. It was just metal to metal, metal to floor. So she couldn't go out in public because she wouldn't be able to move. She'd get into a smooth concrete surface or a grocery store, wouldn't be able to move. So we worked with people with Meals on Wheels. They'll tell us about these people stuck in their homes, quite often. And they told us about this individual and they said, can you help? Of course. 2 weeks later, we were delivering her a brand new wheelchair. We went out there, got her in the wheelchair. Imagine how this lady felt to finally be able to get out of her house after being stuck in it for a year. So I could go on and on about stories, but I really want to answer your questions because if you're designing information, you can see how this gets a little challenging where I want to be able to hand you something where you go, let's see, can they help me with what I need? And this information's got I gave you 6 different things that we had, and none of them are clear. And they're certainly not state of the art.
I have a question.
Yeah.
We've spoken at length about what types of imagery to go after, and I do want your ideas on that as well. What about infographics, graphs, or data graphically illustrated that could help compel? This is going to be obviously materials that compels people to come seek
Right.
CIL services out. But let's face it, it's also going to be a tool that's going to be used to compel donors to give. If they can see there is data being collected that shows just how effective CIL is in the community, what would you say those data variables might be, and how would you like to see them displayed? Pie charts, bar graphs, what?
Right. Great question. Have you taken this class before? We just had back in July, we had our 45th anniversary. I told you we've been here in Pensacola for 45 years, and we had we call it the Sapphire Soiree instead of a gala because it was in July. You can't have a gala yet in July. We had it downtown. It was a great event. We had 168 people showed up for this high-end night. It was black tie. And when I gave the presentation, one of the graphs that I showed them that last year, here in Escambia County alone, we serve all 4 counties, which is good information for you to have. Escambia, Santa Rosa, Okaloosa, and Walton counties. This one officer in Pensacola serves all 4 counties. And every time I go out to Walton or Okaloosa County, which nobody had been out there, at least not in recent history, nobody knew who we were. So it's kind of a win-lose situation because I'd tell you about who we are and what we're doing. Then, oh my gosh, we need you so badly. why haven't we ever heard of you before? You know, I don't know, we've only been here 45 years, why would you hear about us? So that was the challenge, and we serve all the counties. So, but because we hadn't been out there, our stats were only for Escambia County. And so what I got to say to these people that we were asking to write a check and make a donation, last year in 2024, we provided over 2,800 unique products and services just in Escambia County. That's pretty impressive.
And that's definitely a note.
That was a graph, you know, and then what I did is I took that graph and I did a pie chart of that number and showed them exactly how much of each of the services that we provide were in that pie chart. It was a beautiful graph, and they loved looking at it. And the challenge with that graph is making it legible when it's up on a screen. So the person that did that, who did that? I think it was Kelly Hogarty. Yeah, she took, instead of putting the text, you know, like you point an arrow to a piece of the pie and put the text out there, you couldn't read it that way. She had the arrows come down to the bottom and listed the things so that the font was bigger, and then you could see what it was and then just follow the arrow up to the piece of pie you were looking at. So that was a great way to break that down. But here's the magic of that. I showed them that, and they're impressive, isn't it? Everybody was, yeah, that's great. But you know what? Over the last 20 years, because we only had digital records going back 20 years. There wasn't any computers over 20 years ago. None of you were born yet, so you don't remember that. But we only had digital records going back 20 years, and so I only had 20 years of numbers. But in the last 20 years, here in Escambia County, we had provided over 50,000 unique products and services. And that pie chart was broken down the same way.
Wow.
That was impressive. That was something that was really cool to show them. You know, so, things.
I would imagine seeing something like that, a donor or a prospective donor would want to know, well, how's my money going to be spent?
Yep.
You know, where are these dollars going to go?
Yep.
And yes, obviously you have an office that you have to maintain, you have salaries you need to pay. Outside of that, where are these dollars going to go? And it would make sense to me that you would want to show more than just not to be cliche about wheelchairs, but it's just wheelchairs are the first thing people talk about.
Yeah.
You know, I was really intrigued to see that you help out with equipment for the deaf and blind.
Yep.
Even in communicating with computers.
Yep.
I think a lot of people don't really, particularly those of us who are sighted and can't hear, take that for granted. We don't really think about that.
Yeah.
And then you give them the numbers. Yeah, X percentage of people who are legally blind do not have these facilities available to them or can't otherwise afford them.
Yep.
Oh, that's not how we
Yep.
data, information is an absolute graphic element.
Oh yeah, you never want to throw numbers.
Just consider the cereal box you guys designed a couple of weeks ago. You know, there were specs about nutrition. There were specs about how many calories. You know, it's not just the nutritional table that you put on the side. There were also little call-outs on the cover, and there were the box top symbols, and there was games, you know, educational games you could put on the back, things like that. All of this can be a supplement to just pictures and words. And besides that, I mean, some people don't necessarily or won't necessarily read every single word in the booklet. They need other things to compel them, to snippets that will inform them and educate them like that. And that's what an infographic does.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And we need that big time. And what I did with that is I just took the dollar bill and spread that out over each of those services that we provide, because 100% of that dollar bill went to that pie chart. So it was an easy one to break down, because the overhead and salaries were paid by federal grants until 2 weeks ago. Not anymore. Well, it'll come back, I think. But but you brought up a good point there. What if we also help it when we talk about barrier removal, when inside a home, when somebody is remodeling or building a home and they have some type of a challenge, physical, mental, emotional challenge, where a normal home would be a barrier. For example, a normal door, a single door. Does anybody know how wide a single door in a home is?
Is it 38 inches?
30.
No.
Yeah.
One has to be legally wheelchair accessible, and then the rest of them can be smaller.
Not in a personal residence.
Oh.
Yep. Only in a retail or commercial site
Oh.
where you're going to have public coming in. That's the ADA law. First of all, forget about ADA. I mean, don't forget about it, but comply with the ADA laws is disgustingly simple. You have to have a parking spot, a disabled marked parking spot, and a curb cut, and a door they can get in, and a bathroom they can get in. That's it. You've met ADA requirements. Go down to, hey, I'll name some names. Go down to Fosco's. Anybody know Fosco's Coffee downtown? Imagine going there in a wheelchair. Yeah. How would you get in? They don't even have a kick plate. Now, when Fosco's was being redesigned, had they been working with us, I'd have pulled our architect in, and the architect would have said, you know, since we're putting it up there anyway, we could put that kick plate down there, 6 inches off the ground. If you were in a wheelchair and you were a quadriplegic in a wheelchair, you had use of nothing from your neck down, how would you even get into a place that had a kick plate? How would you kick that plate? What would you kick it with? Your head, right? I mean, that's all you got, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how demeaning is that? You know, you come up to an establishment where you want to spend money and you can't get in there? So, but when they were redesigning that place, when they redid it, they didn't even put a kick plate in. He doesn't care. You know, he says, I don't. Anyway, well, you can go on down the road too, go down to Bodacious. You know, as great as Quint is, try to get into Bodacious, try to get upstairs in Bodacious in a wheelchair. Is there an elevator? Yeah. See, you don't think about stuff like this. You don't think about it until you're faced with it. I mean, I didn't think I had any disabilities when I started working there. Turns out I have 6. So it's a good thing I got out of that job. Was killing me. But you just don't realize it until you're confronted with this. And this is the challenge with this message, is how do we make these people with these unique challenges aware of the fact that we can help them? And if we can't help them directly, we know who can. And even if they don't even have to be here, they can be, we've had people contact us, you know, I've got a family member, somebody in North Carolina. Do you have somebody we can talk to? But yeah, we'll put them in touch with the people up there in North Carolina, because we know there's a center up there that can serve them. So it's national organization, 600 locations, and our challenge is to communicate. Well, here's the first change, the change that I finally got through and got the board to approve. I got away from using Center for Independent Living, because our logo, it says CIL, Center for Independent Living of Northwest Florida. So I changed our whole program, and I printed my own cards recently, but it says CIL of Northwest Florida, your Disability Resource Center. Now do you know what we do? Yeah. See, I couldn't take anything away because by law we still have to use the CIL. But I didn't have to explain what the CIL meant. I didn't have to distract you with Center for Independent Living. I just say CIL of Northwest Florida, and then the subtitle was Your Disability Resource Center. Now they know. Nobody asked me, again, what CIL stands for when I hand them that. So that's glad I remember to tell you that, because that's what you're definitely going to want to be including in your information.
Well, actually, let's just go ahead and make a note of that. That's going to be a requirement for your branding throughout this book. Your Disability
Resource Center. Yeah, and CIL of Northwest Florida has to be there somewhere in small footnotes on the back, has to say Center for Independent Living of Northwest Florida. At one time, many years ago, the name was Center for Independent Living of Northwest Florida, a Disability Resource Center. That was the entire, what a nightmare. What letterhead does that fit on? So the board said, our name's too long, we gotta change it. So what did they get rid of? They got rid of the A Disability Resource Center. We're back to Center for Independent Living. The board's got no business mind, no creativity at all. They're just a yes, no stamp. Anyway, I know I talk a lot, but I'm passionate about what they do there at CIL, and I'm gonna continue to do it. I'm gonna just be volunteering now. instead of that. But I think you see the challenge.
Yeah, I was showing them their website last class.
Yeah.
And I asked them all, what's the one thing you see missing on the front page?
Mm-hmm.
What's missing?
What we do.
The name.
Yeah, it's not there.
The name is not there
Yeah.
at all. You have to look really, really closely at the round logos up in the corner, and maybe you'll be able to read it.
Yeah.
But that's it.
No, but again, no fault of anybody there because they've never had to do it before. Again, the fire department doesn't have to do any marketing or advertising. You know who to call. Well, in the past, they knew here too, but those days are over. They're not coming back. You showed it in here?
Yeah.
The website?
Yeah. Yeah, I can broadcast to all the people.
Oh, pull it up and I want to show them that video brief, because I do want you to see this, because this will lock you. Because when you start thinking about creativity, you'll think about this and you'll think, how can we make somebody blind have the same kind of experience that this little girl had by providing him or her resources that they need? Somebody deaf, how can we provide them resources? And there's so many things that we do, and we do it all the time with equipment. I mean, and there's movies out that highlight people that are born. How about, hold on, I'm coming up with it. Not Parkinson's. What is the disease that you have that we find out at birth? It's neurological.
Multiple sclerosis.
No. Danny has it. You met Danny, I think. It's physically disabling.
Cerebral palsy?
Cerebral palsy.
Thank you.
There you go. And 100% of our employees have a disability, so they don't just talk about it, they live it every day. And he was born with cerebral palsy, he walks on canes. And he constantly is coming up against stuff that challenges him, So we have a 14-year-old girl that is on our advisory board because she's a champion. She goes up to DC and talks about it and stuff. And she has cerebral palsy, and she talks about the challenges that she faces. So if you go over to successes on the far left menu, there she is, the top one. Does it have volume? Yeah.
You are walking. You're doing it. You're walking. You're doing it.
That's her mom.
Wow, you're so strong. Yes, you are. You did so good. Yeah, you did. Come see Dada.
Yeah, that's gonna be better.
Come see Dada. Wow.
First steps that little girl's ever taken by herself. Hey. Isn't that cool? So how do you create that emotion or that impact with something in your hand if they don't have the ability to see a video? And you do it for somebody that's blind or deaf or cerebral palsy. Our success stories say there's a whole bunch of different kinds of them there. But that's what I wanted you to feel. I wanted you to feel that so you get, how can you create that feeling in the written word, in the literature they hand somebody, so they go, oh man, I got so many people I can refer to you, because that's the whole point of this, is have them refer them to us so that we can help them.
So something came up last class. We have a veteran
Yeah.
out with us tonight. And he is, he was injured
Mm-hmm.
and now deals with pain management on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And he brought up PTSD.
Yeah.
Now, I imagine CIL doesn't necessarily help with treatment of conditions like that. But do
do they offer referrals to services that do it?
Yeah, we don't do anything medical. We don't do anything that other people out there doing. What we help the veterans, disabled veterans, is a huge, obviously, undertaking, especially in this area. And you've got the VA that does pretty good helping disabled vets, but there's always a gap somewhere between getting services or getting what they need or whatever. And so that's where we step in with the disabled vets, is to help them with that. Or we refer them to groups. We also, those peer groups I was talking about, we have peer groups that are just disabled vets that meet, sit around in a circle and talk about their challenges and overcoming it, with a counselor there, to monitor the situation. So we do address it that way, but it's not a formal therapy type of a session. It's more just a peer group conversation, kind of like a book club or something, and we try and create symbiotic relationships anywhere where we can. There's an organization here, one of my business clients, that does elite veterans exams. And so for a disabled vet that is not getting their full disability benefits, because you got to fight for it, we'll refer them over to EVE. It's called EVE, Elite Veterans Exams. And Crystal will get them 100% of their disability benefits they're entitled to. She has a 100% success rate. She's been doing it for 8 years. So she's really good. So we refer them to her, then they get their disabilities that they're entitled to. On the other hand, she'll have vets come to her that don't have something they need that we can provide them with, so she'll refer them to us and we'll provide them with what they need. So it's that symbiotic relationship back and forth. So that's how I'm glad you brought up vets, because that's probably 10% of the clients that we call them consumers. We can't call them customers because they don't buy anything from us. We call them consumers because they're consuming our services. So that's an important note to put out there. Yeah.
Should at least one of the success stories be shared on the booklet?
It'd be hard to do, but yes. But if you open that can of worms, then they're going to go, "That's it, just one success story." So how do you cut it off? But
remember, you've only got 8 pages.
Yeah.
To deal with.
What you
Unless
might.
you want more.
But if you showed a picture and label it success stories, we have successes in all of these areas, and you list the 10 areas we have successes in. Find them all find the details of the story on our website. You get them to go to the website. So that's a way where you could hook them with that one picture. Pick a picture. Hard not to go to Bree. It's such a cute picture, but yeah, hook them and get them to go to the website for the rest of it, because you're limited in space.
Yeah, I imagine
Yeah.
you could invent short blurb testimonials, like CIL helped me get out of my house.
Yep.
And got
Oh
a
yeah.
power chair.
Yeah, we have testimonials on there, don't we? We should have. We have them. Yeah.
I'll find it.
Go up to the top, Build-A-Brain. We have a app in here that programming guy who's graduated from UWF, he does apps, and he could have gone to work for a gaming company doing gaming, making 7 figures a year. He said, "No, I want to do something that helps people." And here's what he wrote. He's got Build-A-Brain, and he wrote that for you. He wrote that for students, because what you do is you upload all of your digital textbooks. And then when you have a question about, where was I reading about people with disabilities? And you type that into the Build-A-Brain, and it'll go right to the textbooks where that information was, tell you the page, it'll highlight the paragraphs and stuff and bring them right back to you. So for students, instead of having to flip through and try and find it, that app finds it for you instantly. It's like a Google for your textbooks.
I was hoping you could tell us a bit more about, because I know that you guys mainly focus on physical disabilities, but I know that you guys also work with mental disabilities.
Yeah.
I was thinking you could elaborate more on that, because I feel like I haven't seen
Yeah,
a whole lot.
it's a good question, and we do focus more on the physical because that's what's obvious to people, And you remember what I said: physical, mental, emotional disabilities. And every single time I talk about CIL, I always state all 3 of those: physical, mental, or emotional challenge that prevents you from getting through your day. by yourself without something outside of you, whether it be medication or counseling or whatever. And because we're not certified counselors in those particular areas with those challenges, we know who is providing the best possible. And then based on, do you have insurance? Yes or no? If not, okay, well then we can get you some groups that meet, peer groups that meet where there's no charge. We can send you, we know who's helping those people. And so, again, that falls under the information referral category, which is why it's 51% of what we do. So that's how we handle that. Sometimes it'll just be a phone call, just listening. Sometimes one of our advisors will just listen to somebody talking about their challenges. For a time there, we had quite a lot of people coming from, help me out here, where's the war going on right now?
Ukraine.
Ukraine, yeah, we had Ukrainian people coming over, especially women, coming over here to escape that war, and they had nothing when they got here, and they didn't speak the language or anything. And so we had an individual that was helping them, spoke the language, was from there, was helping them find housing and jobs and stuff like that. And so we got his information into our system, and then when they reached out to us for help, how to relocate, it's not technically a disability, but it was a barrier to being independent, wasn't it? When you don't speak the language and you're in a foreign country, it was a barrier to being independent. And so that's how we justified it. And then we would just refer them to him, and he would hook them with an entire community that would get them resituated and safe. Yeah, it was really cool.
I was just very interested because I myself am mentally disabled, so I'm like kind of interested to see what you guys provided for people like me.
Do you have questions about where to get,
No,
meet people, get help, assistance?
I was just having like, I just wanted to see what you guys did as well for mentally disabled people as well, because I know you did mention the mentally disabled. So
Right.
I was interested.
We have movie nights where we invite everybody, in our email list to come to a free movie and popcorn and candy and stuff, and you're amongst friends. It's safe. It's a safe place to be, and you don't have to be labeled with anything. You don't have to tell anybody, I don't know if you saw this a while back, the airport was gonna do this stupid thing of giving you a lanyard to wear if you have some kind of disability to walk through the airport, so that if you had a need of some kind, you're like, come on, really? Nobody. Would you wear one?
I did see that, but I was
Yeah,
like,
but you wouldn't wear one, would you?
they were very unspecific about what they were talking about.
I just, the only thing that we require somebody to do to receive our services at no cost is own their disability. So they have to be willing to contact us, usually by phone, and say, I can't do this because of this. Can you help me? And the staff always says yes, because we'll find a way. If we don't do it, we'll find out who does. But they got to own it. We don't chase them. You can't force it on somebody if they don't want it. And there are people stuck in their homes that don't want it, any help. They just flat out don't want it. We have a ramp program where we build ramps for people that can't get out of their homes, and we've had a number of people turn us away. No, I don't want people to see a ramp on my home. So.
I saw you guys also do like job resume stuff.
Yeah, good point. Yes, we also help people get vocational training and into new positions. VR is, vocational rehab is big. Thank you for bringing that up. I forgot an important part. And we used to get a lot better assistance from an organization here, and I'm not going to mention their name because I'm going to trash them in the news soon. But, no, I mean, really, we would refer people to them, and then they wouldn't do their job. They would take them in, they would take their money, and then they wouldn't do their job. But here's something really cool. I met this gentleman a few months ago named Mitch Reed, and here's what he's doing. He's taking people of any age with autism, and he's training them vocational skills with gaming. Think of that. If you've got autism, you're not comfortable around people usually, and so they're in their gaming world, and they can be incredible at gaming. So he's got this entire curriculum. He's in 9 countries doing this. It's not new. He's doing it in 9 countries, and he teaches them vocational skills through gaming, and then they do their job interview with a game. that proves to the company they're interviewing with that they have the technical skills to do the job they're being interviewed for through a game. It's so cool. I mean, it's just cutting art. I mean, it's really cool stuff. He's taken it one step further, and he said, you know, we need a better way to respond to natural disasters. And so he takes these same group of autistic people that have been trained in certain skills, and they have a response team. When the floods happened in Texas, was that a year ago now? You remember when the big floods happened in Texas? His team got on that. Again, they're in 9 countries. His team got on that. And whenever you have a natural disaster, the first thing that the responders do is they put together a punch list of what they need, resources that they need. So they turn this list over to him, and then these gamers go out to the gaming community nationwide, whatever nation they're in, and say, you're playing a game on your computer, pops up on your screen. We need 12 blue tarps in whatever the town in Texas it was. Who's got them? And then somebody over here's got them, somebody over here can pick them up. They filled that entire punch list in 3 days. It normally takes 3 months. 3 days. Isn't that cool?
I would have definitely enjoyed that if I was like younger.
Yeah, younger.
Well,
If you're any younger, you wouldn't be in college. Sorry, I'm not picking on you, but
no, it's
you mean to
okay.
learn a
It's
game,
okay.
to learn
It's
gaming?
okay.
I'm sorry, y'all look like babies to me.
I mean, like, I definitely would have liked it if,
You're
like,
a baby, bro.
I had.
You're part of us.
If because I had to adjust because I was rejected at 504, so I had
Right.
to adjust to going through school without a 504.
Oh, yeah.
So,
You had to try
so
to make
if
it
I
work.
had a 504, I think that would have definitely like helped me.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
like that. Do you help with people
Yeah.
who get 504s
Yes.
as well?
Advocacy.
Advocacy.
Big area. Big part of what we do is advocacy, where we will advocate for somebody. We'll help them fill out their forms, for their disability or whatever it is that they're applying for, or 504, or if they're applying for a job and they won't allow any concessions for their challenges, when legally they're required to, we will advocate for them and get that done. The last advocacy that I was involved in, we had an apartment complex here locally that had disabled parking spaces, but no curb cuts. Hello, So they park their van there and they get out and then they are standing up against the curb and knocking up against it. Come on, really? So we advocated and we got the right people involved, and then the city made them put in curb cuts. The owner didn't want to do it because it costs money. Well, the owner didn't have a choice. Yes, advocacy is a big part of what we do. In fact, Carolyn Growley, our director, she's a pain in the side of the county and the city just because she won't take no for an answer. She's disabled herself, she's legally blind, and she runs this organization. And she has, for the last 30 years, worked for CILs. And she goes to these meetings. She can't drive, obviously, she's legally blind. And instead of getting a driver and using a car and stuff like that, she relies on public transportation to see how it would be for a person that's blind to use public transportation in Escambia County. And it's a nightmare, absolute nightmare. And she keeps going to these meetings and they keep saying, well, we're getting that. She goes, no, you're not. Because she's a user. She's talking about it because she's experiencing it firsthand. So she's advocating, she just will not let them sweep it under the rug.
There's like no public transport in some areas
Yeah.
as well either.
Yep,
It's just like there's no buses.
Yeah.
You just got to deal with it.
figure it out. Yeah, figure it out.
Mhm.
Now, there's still some, there's a lot of challenges that need to be met. Go ahead.
One thing that you had brought up, the advocacy is obviously, I'm thinking is one of the 5 core services.
Right.
Well, whenever we looked up the 5 core services, either in the brochures you gave me or even there on the website,
Mhm.
there's so many more than 5.
Oh, yeah.
So what are the 5 core services? And is it that there were several services listed there that fall under one of those services, or have they just expanded from the 5 core?
It's the mission statement and the charter for CIL says these are the 5 core services you are required to provide. If you want to go above and beyond that, great. And most centers go way above and beyond that. What we publish there is what we're required to publish. But your point is valid. We want people to know we do a lot more than what we're required to do.
Okay.
So if I said these are the 5 core services that every CIO offers. In addition to that, here at the Disability Resource Center, your Disability Resource Center of Northwest Florida, we also provide these services and list those out. And you'll find most on the webpage or buried in those brochures. How do you tell this story in 8 pages? You don't have a good challenge for you. I'd love to see your work when you're done.
They do. I would love to give them a 16-page. Well, there you go, you see. But at the moment, they're not professional fast. And so I'm taking that into account. So
Yeah.
we're taking just a little over 3 weeks, really. But we've got a holiday that's encroaching on us right now. It's gonna break us up a little bit.
They still get holidays?
I don't, but they do.
Yeah, adults don't get holidays.
And
I mean,
most of them,
they're also all in Word documents too.
well, yeah, you're just meant to copy and paste the text off of it.
Yeah.
I
I know there's a way you can import, like you showed us a way you can import.
Sure, you can import Word docs into text docs.
No, that was in the thing that Joseph gave us. The videos that he gave us. They showed how to import a Word document
And
into
I'll-
InDesign.
Happily go over that again with you guys. But, does anybody else have any other questions about visuals, about other key points that you might want to make in your booklets? I know
Yeah.
he brought up a very good point in trying to avoid using the word disabled.
Yeah,
Don't label
don't try.
the clients as
Yoda
disabled.
says, do or do not, no try. You can't try it. You can't use the word disabled or it'll be rejected immediately by Carol.
Okay.
Nobody's disabled. They have a challenge. They're physically, emotionally, or mentally challenged that's preventing them from accomplishing what they want to accomplish. There's still a stigma around disabled people, like they chose it. And you look back at the history of people with disabilities, I mean, they were ostracized like people with leprosy,
A lot of, especially a lot of mentally
Oh, yeah.
challenged people were thrown in asylums.
Yep.
You had ADHD, they were just like, yeah, we'll put you in asylum.
Yep. Yes, sir.
I'm not
Physically,
sure how to
emotionally.
word this
Physically.
right, but where are these booklets going to be? Like, where is advertising going to be?
Well, I take these existing brochures, I take them to hospitals, to rehab centers, like the CDC. I take them to rehabilitation centers. I take them to military facilities. Anybody that has contact with people with physical, mental, or emotional challenges. I take them to chiropractors' offices. I take schools.
might be a bit more
Some schools, the elementary schools, it's challenging with elementary, because there's so many middle or high school. Anywhere where they might be interacting with somebody that doesn't have everything they need to get through a day. I have several chiropractors in town that let me put their brochures in their lobby, in their little stands and so forth. And the problem with leaving that brochure behind is that it's not helpful. You can see.
See, this is one of the brochures.
Yeah.
Sorry, they got crushed in my backpack. But there's a lot in here that they're asking for an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper to cover, and they've all been truncated down into bullet points that really don't tell you anything. So that's why I went ahead and expanded all of these out into blocks of copy for you to pick and choose from, should you need it. But now we've got a little more real estate to play with.
How are you gonna do an 8-page? You gonna have the others pulled out on the end?
Well, I wasn't gonna challenge them with that, but
Oh.
if you really want to raise the bar, feel free.
Oh, you weren't gonna let them do 8 pages?
Hmm?
You weren't gonna let them do 8?
No, I'm gonna let them do the minimum of 8,
Oh.
but we always give them the opportunity to kind of blow our minds.
Yeah.
Show me something I didn't think about. Show me something that's not on the assignment.
Wait, you remember the person you used to know that had that unfold thing? That was genius. That was really cool.
He's talking about C.C. Milford, mutual friend of ours who runs a promotional products agency. And yeah, I showed you guys a website that she turned me on to called
Oh yeah, the funny.
Red Paper Plane?
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
Yeah.
Funny Fold website.
yeah, the funny
Oh
little website.
man, it's like an origami, you
I
know.
know. I was like,
Everything you
wow.
unfold is another piece.
I'm like, it's completely impractical, but I love it.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I won't say any more out loud because I don't want to give them any answers, but you got me thinking. So,
That brochure that we did, the one you're talking about, that folds this way
Yeah.
and that way and that way and
Yeah.
that way,
that was
racked my brain to design that thing.
That was cool. That reminds me of, you know, you all see the outside murals outside on the walls. There's the one that does the best ones here in town, and you probably know her. She went to a contest, just to give you an idea how some brains work, for international muralists, and she won because what she did on a wall, and it was about as big as that wall right there, she did a mural on that wall that when you put your finger in front of your nose like this, it became 3D
Oh yeah.
and came away from the wall.
I know that little trick.
You do?
Yeah. Well,
That's-
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Daniela.
We had a bunch of
Yeah,
books that
yeah.
we had a bunch of books that had that. So you like stare at your finger and then you like follow it and then it goes 3D.
Well,
Yeah, but she does it like by hand,
oh yeah.
on a wall.
On a wall.
Does she have like a generator? Like, is there like a kind of like how does that?
I don't know.
Yeah, I've never seen her use anything but this and spray, you know,
I would give
and
up like
freehand.
the first second I run through a problem. I'd be like,
If y'all are interested in hand painted murals like that, Daniela Andrade, I think is her name.
Yeah.
And I've just seen her do, just on her social media, the stuff that
Yep.
she does. Recently, she did a ceiling
Oh yeah.
where she's like painting like this for
Yeah.
weeks and on end.
It's incredible. No, I can't.
Yeah.
My mind can't get there. I mean, I used to teach as well, and one of the courses I taught was negotiating, and I told my students that they could bring any kind of electronic device in as long as it didn't disturb the class. And one day, one of my top students, he got A's on everything and was always sat in front. He came in and he had buds in his ears, and we're getting ready for class. Other students were there, and I said, "What are you listening to?" And he said, "What?" I said, "What are you listening to?" And he said, "Which ear?" I said, "What?" I said, "Well, I'm listening to music in this ear, and I listen to the lecture in this ear." Oh God, I'm done. I can't get there in my mind. He said, "Didn't you ever sit in your apartment and listen to music while you were studying?" And I said, "That's not the same." He said, "It is the same."
see, for me, I take one ear, but
Yeah, that was when I knew it was in over my head with the digital natives.
It's like
you
a
know?
white noise almost.
Yeah.
You know, I was teaching high school up till last year.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's not even earbuds, it's just the full-on ear muffs, you know? Like we used to wear in the 70s,
Yeah.
but now it's all Bluetooth and wireless and they cost $300. And they'll come in and not even take those things off.
Yeah.
And they'll try to tell me, yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you. They just
Those
record the whole
things-
thing.
Those things
for
have
you.
noise canceling.
All right, gang. What else?
I think we've burned enough of his time.
Well, I'm happy to help any way I can.
Any other last questions?
You can find me, Coach Glenn, if you want to go out to the
Wait, so are you gonna be using all of these? Or is it like make the best one win?
The best one wins. Yeah. The one that
What does the best man win? Or woman?
you win the respect and
Why do
admiration
you
of your
feel the need to
We're not
get
official.
I got
everything?
it. No, I got it. I'll only give 1A.
Way to go, Casey.
Wait, so I thought, so you're not gonna take us out to like a nice dinner? Or like,
Casey, shut up.
Yeah, we're going
Casey,
Dutch.
not every class is about food.
Let's also eat
I also
soup.
feel like that's a
Then let's
violation.
go all eat at
Some-
the zoo. Let's all take a trip to the zoo, Mason.
You should get me a pretzel.
Okay, I'll do it, friends.
I
Yes.
didn't give grades in any of my classes. I did not give grades. You either proved competency and passed the course, or you weren't competent in the subject and didn't pass the course.
That's a great idea.
And you had to prove competency.
That's not like
So you
an
can't do it with
algebra.
creativity. You can do it with negotiations. You can do it with finance. You can do it with things like that. You've got to prove competency. And in my negotiating class, you had to pick who you were going to negotiate with, and each of you had you all had your setup. And then the class, just like on the island where you got voted out, the class decided whether you knew what you were doing or not. Not me. The class decided whether you were going to pass or
I
not.
think it's you.
Well, I wouldn't let somebody who's incompetent do it, but
Yeah, because all you want is food.
You guys would vote me off just out of spite.
Vote you off the island?
Immediately.
We vote you off after you say something.
Okay, I'll make this offer. If any of you do a brochure that Carolyn Growley accepts and uses, I'll buy you dinner. Anywhere you want to go. Okay.
He's like,
No, I'm only buying one person. It's only
Within
one
the
person.
city limits, guys.
Yeah, well, within Pensacola, but we got so many choices here to, we'll walk across the street to the mall. Don't go to Chipotle though, because that place looks like a frat house after a food fight.
It does.
Oh, it's disgusting. I walked in and walked back out. Are you kidding me? Not that I know anything about that, but.
Well, everybody give it up. Thank you, Coach Glenn.
Thank you. Appreciate y'all. If you have any other questions, email me, CoachGlenn@thecoachglenn.com.
I'll
Pretty
put
easy to
his
remember.
contact information.
Happy to help any way I can.
Is that actually your email?
It is.
Oh my lord.
Well, mine's Mason@masonguttery.com.
Yeah. The community out there knows that's Coach Glenn.
Is that like a
Mine is
design thing?
Absolutely.
It's labeling. It's what I've been called all my life.
Chris is like @gmail.com.
See websites.
You need to create a personal brand, especially if you're going to do work for yourself.
Yeah.
It helps. That doesn't have to be your name, but I mean, yeah. Coach Glenn is his personal brand.
And what I've been called since I was 8 years old.
What?
Sorry, I neglected earlier when I introduced you.
That's okay. I started my first company when I was 6 years old. So I
It's a
started,
lemonade stand.
Captain Mexican.
no, shoe shining. Yeah.
It's a calorie burner too.
And then just, yeah. Anyway, I want to help any way I can because I want to see this get the message across so that more people are aware of what we do and how we help. So we can help more people. That's the bottom line of all of this is awareness so we can help more people. Yeah. All right. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
I look forward to seeing your work. I'll come back and issue grades. Have a good night, everybody.
Forget about that dinner.
Casey.
That's it? All right. Let me know how I can help. I will. Okay. Good night, everybody.
Do you want me to pause
It's gonna
this?
be real quiet.
Mason, do you want me to stop the video?
Yeah.